Buckle up for an epic ride. During the December holidays, we cranked up the adventure in our 2021 BMW G20 320i, clocking an astonishing 5,000 kilometers on the road. Of that, we managed to capture 3,400 kilometers in the first 3 episodes of our travel series. So, spoiler alert, this video is merely a compilation of those unforgettable journeys. Now, if you've already witnessed the excitement by watching all 3 videos, feel free to jump to the last chapter of this video for the full cost breakdown of our escapades. But if you haven't tuned in yet, grab your favorite drink and snack, sit back, and get ready for a ride. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Would we do another road trip of this magnitude in the 3 series? Chances are not, unless absolutely necessary. While the drive was exhilarating, the BMW's M Sport suspension felt a bit too stiff, and the 19-inch run flats don't help either, making us wonder if a BMW X5 with air suspension wouldn't offer a smoother, more luxurious cruise. So here's to hoping for a BMW sponsorship soon. Come on, BMW SA, come through for your boy. Anyway, without further ado, let's hit the road and dive into the adventure. In this video, we will be traveling from Johannesburg to Qonce in the Eastern Cape, spanning across 963 kilometers. To achieve this, we will be driving the 2021 BMW 320i, where we will be testing its fuel efficiency, determine the cost of the trip, and answer the burning question, do you need a 320d? So stay tuned because all of this is coming up. Now, before we begin, I do want to qualify that this is episode 1 of the travel series and not a review of the vehicle. Once we conclude on the travel series, I will do a comprehensive review on the car together with my 3-year ownership experience. Now that that is out of the way, let's kick off with stats on the car. The 320i is powered by a 4-cylinder, 2-liter turbocharged engine, which produces 135 kilowatts and 300 Newton meters of torque, mated to the 8-speed ZF gearbox. It'll accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 7.1 seconds. Interestingly, the LCI variant accelerates in 7.4 seconds, when the weight and power output are claimed to be exactly the same. Now, BMW has not officially responded to me on this, but if anyone knows why this is the case, please let's engage in the comment section. Lastly, it has a claimed fuel consumption of 6.3 liters to the 100 on the combined cycle. Next, for the purposes of our test, we will be driving in comfort mode because EcoPro has proven to be laggy when overtaking. Additionally, we will keep the aircon on its lowest setting for added comfort. On most parts of the journey, we will try to keep speeds between 120 and 128 kilometers per hour. And lastly, the boot and the back seats are packed to the rafters. I have a sister at UJ, so the back seat is full of her boxes. I'll show you what this looks like a bit later, but for now, let's commence with our journey. The vehicle had a quarter of a tank when I refueled this morning, so I paid 834 rands to fill up this 59-liter fuel tank from quarter all the way to full. The current reading from the instrument cluster says that we have a range of 578 kilometers from this tank, so let's sit back and see how far this tank actually takes us. touchdown Kroonstad. Now, one thing about small towns in the Free State, you will respect the speed limit. Otherwise, you learn the hard way. You're gonna learn. Those who know, know. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Now, it wouldn't be a proper road trip without some biltong. So on that note, we're making a quick stop at one of our favorite delicacies, the Fat Butcher, which is out in Ventersburg. I recommend this place when you're out here. You will not regret it. Anyway, let's continue with the trip. Touchdown Bloemfontein. We're stopping at Engine One Stop for lunch and some refreshments. As always, I've parked like a typical BMW driver. Sorry, guys. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Police like that. Yo. Yeah? This is a 100 km/h zone, and I've just passed the traffic officers at 117 km/h. Yo. Finally, we've reached Elwell North and we are now passing over the Orange River, which separates the Free State from the Eastern Cape. At this point, we've done over 624 kilometers and we still have a quarter of a tank remaining. So we'll make a quick stop, grab coffee, stretch our legs, and keep it moving. Oh boy, if it isn't the infamous Penhook Pass. Brings back a lot of childhood memories and certainly a stretch of road I've come to enjoy in my adulthood. It isn't always the sunny, pleasant and inviting though. And in order to fully appreciate what I mean by that, I'll insert a clip from one of our previous road trips. But for now, let's sit back and enjoy this majestic piece of road. Yep, this road is not for beginners, but on this occasion, unlike today, we were driving a front-wheel drive car which tends to perform better on snow and mud than rear-wheel drive cars. Nonetheless, let's keep moving. We've just arrived in Queenstown and at this point we've traveled a total of 804 kilometers at 6.6 liters per 100 kilometers. Our range is currently sitting at 53 kilometers, which means that the 320i will do an honest 850 kilometers on one tank, fully loaded. That is preposterous. We've just filled up for 500 rands in Queenstown, which should comfortably take us into Qonce. Finally touchdown Qonce, my hometown. We will be closing off this video tomorrow with the total costs for the trip. It is now the second day and we are off to East London, which is 60 kilometers southeast of Qonce, to do some last-minute Christmas shopping. The total costs for the trip are on your screen right now. It's important to note that the total costs for the trip do not include any engine oil changes because this is a fairly new car and the oil generally lasts until the required service intervals. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. Do you really need a 320D? Now, the honest answer to that depends on your personal circumstances as the driver. The 320D is 0.3 of a second faster from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. So it will feel marginally nippier from point to point due to that extra torque. However, at speeds above 100 kilometers per hour, the 320i feels faster and pulls stronger because you have more revs to play with. So naturally, the higher the speed, the more reward you get from the 320i, whereas the 320D starts to run out of puff at that point. If you're going to be towing trailers and caravans, then I strongly recommend the 320D because of that extra 100 Newton meters of pulling power. But if not, the 320i is perfectly fine. what swayed me towards the 320i was the price premium of 50,000 on the 320d at the time of purchase. If we look at fuel efficiency alone, we've just proven that the 320i will do 850 kilometers fully loaded, not on EcoPro and with the aircon on, which leads me to believe that a more stringent test can squeeze 950 or even 1,000 kilometers from this engine on one tank. So off the back of that, I don't see how I would have ever recouped the 50,000 just on fuel savings alone. And on that note, that brings me to the end of this episode. Stay tuned for our next trip to Cape Town, and thanks for watching. In this video, we will be traveling to Cape Town from Qonce in the BMW 320i. The distance between the two is approximately 1,000 kilometers, which you can technically travel in one day, but because we're using the cotton route to get there, it's really important that one takes in all of the logistic views. So, we'll be traveling over 2 days, and at the end of day 1, we'll make our final stop in George, covering 563 kilometers. Then on the second day, we'll complete the final 435 kilometer stretch from George straight into the mother city. Without further ado, let's get started. So, before the road trip, we took the 3 Series to BMW East London to regas the aircon as it was starting to get suspiciously hot. Is it normal for aircon gas to run out within 3 years? Let me know in the comment section. Now, I normally do a 360 around the vehicle before dropping it off every time, just to ensure that it doesn't come back with brand new scratches. However, I did a terrible job on this particular occasion. I must have been excited to get inside the dealership and see all the new cars. The first tank that we filled up on the trip costed 890 rands and 3 cents. But just a disclaimer that the fuel was already on quarter prior to filling up. Now, if you're wondering why my windscreen is cracked, don't worry, I've got you. I'll be covering this and more in the 3-year ownership experience video. So please do subscribe and turn on your bell notifications in order to receive that video when we upload. One thing about rural Eastern Cape is that you need to be watchful for cattle, sheep and goats, otherwise you will write off your car. Are you even in the Eastern Cape if you don't visit Nanaga Farm Stall? I think not. This place makes the best food ever and I recommend them 110%. So we stopped here for a couple of minutes to grab our brunch and then kept it moving. I highly recommend the roosterkoek with bacon, egg, and cheese. Now that we're well rested, let us continue with the rest of the journey. At this point, we have completed 271 kilometers and we're still 724 kilometers away from Cape Town. We still have 3/4 of the tank remaining, so let's keep going. Coming up is the only toll gate you'll encounter in the Garden Route, and it costs 67 rands and 50 cents. Finally, we've arrived in George, which is our final destination for today. And interestingly, the majority of this building was just restaurants overlooking the mountain when we last visited in 2021. And now, 3 years later, it seems to be that this is some kind of financial district. I wonder what happened. But anyway, that's it for day one. It is now the second day of the road trip to Cape Town and we are leaving George. Up until this point, we've done 563 kilometers and we still have a quarter of a tank remaining. At this point, we are gonna start cooking because we are late. And so I'm not gonna show much of the POV until we're closer to Cape Town. Touchdown Swellendam. So Swellendam is a small town about 200 kilometers outside of Cape Town, so we are nearly there. By the time we got to Swellendam, the car was completely on empty with less than 50 kilometers of range. Anyway, does anybody know what the story is behind this town? Because
Inobu Orania.
I mean, each of the street lights on the main road has these notice boards written Swellendam family names, and it's always Abo, Leroux, Grootboom, Dudoy, Stain, etc. Also, in addition to that, everybody was looking at us with amazement in their eyes, almost as if they think we shouldn't be driving the car that we are. Anyway, it was bizarre. So we quickly poured our full tank and kept it moving. And the cost of that is in front of your screen right now. And finally, touchdown Cape Town. We have now just traveled 211 kilometers since Swellendam, and we still have 3/4 of that tank remaining, which actually lasted us the entire week that we spent in Cape Town. I mean, we were out every day. We went to Stellenbosch, Paarl, Chapman's Peak, Hout Bay, Camps Bay, and many more places on that one tank alone. The total costs of the road trip from Qonce to Cape Town are in front of your screen. These, of course, exclude the actual cost of our stay and entertainment in Cape Town. And that brings me to the end of this video. Catch us on episode 3, where we will be driving from Cape Town to Johannesburg. Thank you and take care. In this video, we will be traveling from Cape Town to Johannesburg in the BMW 320i, covering a daunting 1,400 kilometers. In theory, this should take roughly 16 hours to complete. However, since there's really nothing to do in the Karoo, we will be clubbing it and hopefully save some time. We are also going to be talking about the fuel efficiency of the car and the total cost of the trip. By the way, shout out to this guy for this comment. It really encouraged me to finalize and release this video. Oh man, Cape Town is beautiful. At this point, I was thinking, where can I get a smaller nyana 20 million so that I can buy a villa in Camps Bay? I'm open to doing heists if anyone wants to join me. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So this is us leaving our hotel in Century City. Coincidentally, across the street from our hotel is the same BMW dealership where Mr. How Much exchanged the M4 for the X6 M60i on his 2-year special. Shout out Mr. How Much. The time is now almost 8:30 in the morning and our petrol tank is nearly empty with only 140 kilometers of range remaining. So we'll be filling up at a nearby Engine One stop along the N1. So what do we have here? We've just spent 1,086 rands on our first tank of petrol and managed to squeeze into it 52 liters. One thing about this tank though is that it's pretty difficult to get to the claimed 59 liters, unless of course your range is pretty much on 0 kilometers. Even with 30 kilometers of range left, which is the lowest I've ever done on the car, I still could not fill it up to the claimed 59 liters. After the first click at the pump, the vehicle simply cannot take more fuel. Let me know if this is your experience with the G23 series as well. One toll gate down, three more to go. We are now entering the town of Beaufort West with a little less than half a tank remaining. Initially, I wanted to pass right through Beaufort West and only refuel once I had gotten to Colesberg, but the remaining range of 300 kilometers on the tank is about the same distance between Beaufort West and Colesberg. So I did not want to risk it as I was driving pretty fast. So I poured another full tank, which costed about 732 rands and 80 cents. Anyway, Joburg is far, guys, so let's keep pushing. Look at how straight, long, and boring the Karoo is. At this point, I started doing warp speed 9 just to save a bit of time. Felt like I was in the Autobahn, really.
Those who know, know. We arrived in Bloemfontein at 10 minutes to 7 in the evening, and what a glorious sunset. I must say that I really enjoyed this part of the journey. When we got to engine one stop in Bloemfontein, we had a quarter of a tank remaining with about 166 kilometers of range left. We filled up for 1,068 rands and 50 cents and kept it moving. We didn't spend a lot of time in Bloem. As you can see, we were out of engine one stop by 6 minutes past 7 after a quick leg stretch and buying more water for the road. 2 toll gates down, 2 more to go. Finally, we got to Qonce and the windscreen is dirty with all of the dead bugs. At this point, I can barely see. We got it cleaned in Bloom, but you can't even tell. Anyway, we have 200 kilometers left to Johannesburg, so let's keep going. Four toll gates down, 0 to go. Oh, and I realized that I didn't take a video of the previous toll gate as I was getting a little tired. But don't worry, it'll be included in the total cost section at the end of the video. The time is now 22:21 and touchdown Johannesburg. There's just something about coming back home to your well-appointed and clean space. The diffusers are diffusing. The linen is linening. I must say that staying in a hotel can never come close to your own space. As soon as we get home, we'll probably make some chamomile tea and go straight to bed because we are cooked, man. We are finished. So let's discuss numbers, shall we? The 3 tanks of fuel that we poured over the duration of the trip costed a total of 2,887 rands and 38 cents. However, we still had half a tank remaining by the time we got home. So that technically means that we overbought our fuel, which I am okay with given the fact that petrol stations along the Karoo are far and few in between. So I'd rather buy more fuel than what we actually need. So for that reason, we deducted a half a tank of 30 liters at the petrol price of 21 rands and 34 cents on the day of filming to arrive at the true cost of the trip of 2,247 rands and 18 cents. Whichever way you look at it is open for professional judgment. Finally, the 4 toll gates costed a total of 233 rands combined, and therefore the total cost of this trip was 2,480 rands and 18 cents, or 132 US dollars. And that, my friend, is not too shabby. The time is now 10 to 11 o'clock in the evening, but we actually arrived home at 10:30 p.m. on the dot, which means that we spent a total of 14 hours on the road, covering the staggering 1,415 kilometers at 7.7 liters to the 100, which is not surprising given the speeds that we were doing. Actual driving time was 12 hours and 20 minutes though, which means that we rested for a total of 1 hour and 40 minutes during the trip. And that brings me to the end of this video. If you like the content of this video, don't forget to share, like, comment, and subscribe. Take care. So let's discuss numbers, shall we? The first trip came to an amount of 1,513 rands and 97 cents for the petroleum and the toll gates. The second trip, however, came in marginally higher because we had traveled to Cape Town via the Garden route and spent the night in George so that we can take in all of the breathtaking views, spending a whopping 4,264 rands and 67 cents. And finally, the one-day stretch from Cape Town to Johannesburg costed 2,480 rands and 18 cents in total, which brings us to the total cost of this round trip of 8,258 rands and 82 cents. If you enjoyed the content of this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Take care.